Welcome in. It is day 162, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today, we're going to be going over more of a social game. I picked it up when I was at PAX East a couple years ago, and it's just one that didn't fully hit for me. I don't know if it's that I just don't have the right group, or if I just don't fully understand the game, or if it's just that this isn't my style game. The game is Letter Jam. Now, in Letter Jam, the idea is that everybody's going to be dealt some cards with letters on it. You're going to end up having a card that you put onto a stand, held up, and everybody but you can see it. So if you're playing in, say, a 6-player game, then you're going to have 5 letters you can see. Now, you're going to have people write down and create a word based on the letters they see. And then, when it's time, basically you're going to go through this setup of, all right, now we have to come up with clues for that word. Now we're going to have to give clues with numbers and try to have people slowly figure out which letter belongs to them. I'll be honest, I've tried playing and I just kind of feel like I get a little lost. I think one of the big issues is this is a cooperative game, and for me, I'm not a big cooperative player. I like to face people. I don't like to work with them very often. Not that I can't work with people, but with a game, I like to have victory. And if I lose, that's okay. But if I win, I like having that ability of like, I fought really hard and I beat you. But when we work really hard and we beat the game, I don't feel as much of a victory. And when we lose to the game, it feels a lot worse than when you lose to just a person. So maybe that's what's getting me with it. I love word games. I'm a huge word person. I played Scrabble with my mom growing up. I've got Hardback. It's one of my favorites. I'm a writer outside of my board game stuff. I write books. And for me, this game just didn't hit right. I feel like there's just too many rounds of rules and it loses me there. Maybe this hit really well for you. I know it was really popular that year at PAX East. I bought the game because I was with my sister. We were walking around. A bunch of people were playing it at its section. And I thought, wow, this looks different. That could be fun. But I think one of those things in retrospect, how looking back, is realizing how much the person selling the game was really guiding them through it. And had they been on their own and had to read the rule book and then have to play the game, maybe that wouldn't have been as fun of a looking session. Your whole goal is to try to, at the end of the game, be able to technically get the right letters and guess the word, or at least a word using those letters. There's just, to me, is just too much going on. But why don't we just jump into our 7 categories? I don't think I'm going to give the explanation of this game enough real credit because I just haven't fully understood it. And that's saying something for me. So why don't we go into our 7 categories and judge it based on those. When it comes to the art, I mean, I get it. Letter jam, and there's a raspberry, you can make jam, haha. It doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry, but if I hadn't been at PAX East and I hadn't seen people playing the game and at least got a feel for what was intended for the play, I don't think this would have ever grabbed my attention. It's a thumbs down. The components, they're fine. You've got good stands, the cards are fine, they're good stock, you've got your paper to write all your stuff down on. I think it's perfectly acceptable. There's not anything in here that I feel is easily going to break or that's going to wear too quickly. I'll give it a thumbs up. Your price. So this game comes in right around that 35 to 40 range. It's just not enough for me. Honestly, I mean, you could play this at your house technically without having to have the game. I mean, if you just write down the letters and put them on a stand, even if you're using Scrabble, you could have letters that way and put them up and show everybody. I just feel like there's not enough uniqueness in this box to justify that price. It's got to be a thumbs down. Difficulty. I mean, I think my explanation at the beginning gave it to you. I find this game extremely frustratingly difficult. There's just too much going on. I haven't been able to fully grasp exactly what it is we're supposed to do. And then when we start to kind of get it going, it's just not that much fun. I think this is a game that is an absolute fail across the board for me. It's a thumbs down. Replayability. Well, guess what? If it's too difficult to play, you're not going to try it twice in a row. It's going to be a thumbs down. I mean, that's just automatic. Your keys to victory. All right, so the concept of the game is that your keys to victory are supposed to be based on you have your letters, they have their letters, you make a word, you make a clue for your word. Now people are trying to get the pieces to those clues. So your keys are all up to communication and clue giving. Well, I don't love the way the game runs. I can't argue that the keys are there, so I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Unique. Is the game unique? I'm going to say no. The reason being is I kind of split this game between two different categories. One is any kind of a letter or word game. Is this Scrabble? No, it's not Scrabble. Is it hardback? No, it's not hardback. You're trying to spell though, so you're still doing the concept of making a word. But the way you make that word actually, for me, reflects back to and I'm not going to remember the name of this game off the top of my head right now, but I had done a review on a game earlier this year that was a co-op game about making fireworks. And you all had to hold your cards up for everybody else to see. And using that shown information, people would try to figure out how to get things down. That's kind of what's going on here. You're showing everybody your cards. You have all theirs for the information, and using that group information as a co-op, you're trying to get to this word. So for me, it's that game with the Scrabble and hardback's spelling of a word plastered on it. It's not unique. I got to give it a thumbs down. Overall, what do I think of this game? I don't think it's horrible. I really don't. I just think that it's hard to grasp, and I think that the biggest issue with the game is the rule book. I don't think they did a very good job on that rule book, and when your rule book isn't good, it makes it really hard to follow. Maybe people need to start putting in a something to scan with your phone so you can jump to a how to play, and they can do a really good explanation video. Because I think there's so many reviewers now that if you had that on a rule book and you could say, all right, we have our rule book, but we acknowledge it's not the best and this was hard to write, it's better to see. If you acknowledge that, it'd be so much better. But they don't. So you have to try to follow this rule book that is very difficult, because as I'm reading it, I keep thinking, man, it feels like they're telling me something that they know how it works and they don't realize I don't know how that works. So your explanation is not helping me much. So I get lost in the rulebook here, and it's really annoying. So I can't recommend this, even though I do acknowledge that I think the game has a lot of potential for fun. I just feel like you need to find people who know what they're doing to play with, or you have to find a really good how to play, which I have yet to find one. But if you can do that, and you can really master that game for setup and for understanding exactly what's going on and make sure everybody's on the same page, because if even one person doesn't understand fully, the game's going to get messed up. If you can do that, then I think that you're going to be fine. But my opinion, for me, for the people I play with, I just don't recommend it. That's just my opinion. It's up to you guys. Maybe this is an easy rulebook for you. I don't know. I mean, everybody's a little different on what they do and don't get, and maybe this is just one of those things that's just out of my realm and it's okay with other people. So if that's the case, that's totally fine. I'll admit to my occasional stupidity when it comes to I'm trying to read a rule book and I just get kind of like foggy-eyed. It's not often, but it happens, and it happens to us all, but not always on the same games. Well, it has been day 162, and we've been speaking about the game Letter Jam, and you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.